Hey y'all, I am Victor E, and I help people unpack their baggage and provide insight to empowerment. So today I wanted to talk about the healing journey, share a little bit of my experience with it, and provide some information as a reference point for you. So today's topic is on romantic sexual relationships and tradition. So in the healing journey, what we realize is that the wounds that we carry, the ways in which we were wounded in those formative, 0 to 7 years of our lives, uh, is that the people who wounded us were wounded themselves by their ancestors. And as we let go of blame and judgment, as we forgive those who came before us, who hurt us, who didn't know better, what we begin to realize is that it was, I mean, hurt people, right? The Office. Ugh, hate referencing that show, but it's absolutely true. So for me, using myself as an example in my journey, I see that the men in my family, especially on my dad's side of the family, are the most loving, attentive, doting examples of men that I've ever seen. I've heard of men being atrocious to their women, to their partners, and it's honestly heartbreaking and it's infuriating. Um, but it brings up to mind the question of monogamy and tradition. I mean, if you've ever been on Tinder, you've seen like the couples looking for a third, or polyamory, non-monogamy, ethical non-monogamy, and it's really, thankfully, gratefully, made me uncomfortable and made me question what it is that I've internalized and learned along the way. And so what I've gleaned for myself personally is that I'm very grateful and dedicated to this path of being a monogamous partner and seeking the same. That's something that I value, right? So, in reference to tradition and ancestors and healing, what we see is that we've learned a lot and taken on a lot from those who came before us. And it's our job in this generation as individuals to discern and sift through that which serves us and that which does not, to carry forward and pass on what serves us, and to gently let go of that which does not. So there was I think, a broader point with monogamy. I mean, it's something for me that brings up a lot of branching subjects, a lot of tangents. One of them being, getting into this a little bit, what it is that a monogamous relationship brings to the table, and what it is that polyamorous relationships bring to the table. I think it just serves to show the differences and subtleties in our union as a human species. Right. So I had a friend, let's call her Amo, who was polyamorous, and having like that conversation and experience with her showed me the ways in which I have unnecessary boundaries out of self-protection, and how she's just like a very free-spirited, loving person, just abundant in that loving energy. But it would be inauthentic, it would be self-abandoning, and hurtful to myself to be someone who practices non-monogamy. That's something that irks tradition and that like traditional mindset. But it's something that brings up my next point, which is that what is it that helps us evolve and grow as individuals and makes us more loving? What is it that serves our overall trajectory on our journey in this life? And for me, as someone who, growing up and seeing my parents, I could not understand why my father stayed. That's the kind of wounded person that my mother was. That's the experience. That's how I experienced her, as someone deeply wounded and very willing and able to take that woundedness out on my sisters and out on me. And it brought me to tears, speaking to my dad, confronting my dad, facing the fear of losing my dad's respect and losing his presence, to tell him that, like, please leave mom. But he's just committed. And looking back on my own life, I see the ways in which him staying created a wound in such a way that I was very quick to leave a bad situation. I was very quick to self-abandon through drugs, through food. And speaking of, to the point of self-abandonment, what I'm saying is abandoning sitting with, let's say, my inner child, the parts of me that are wounded or were wounded. Instead of sitting with them when, let's say, my inner wounded self, instead of sitting with him and loving him through the pain and the healing, I would use substances or food or alcohol, entertainment as a buffer between us, as a way to say no. And in a way, it created the circumstances, the divine storm, for me to really realize and experience the fact that I could no longer put off the healing process. It became too painful to continue masking the pain, insofar as the consequences that it brought about. The people that I lost because I was coming from a wounded or toxic place, the chances for true love, if you can call it that in like a bigger perspective, but the chances for true love that I lost out on. And it feels like just speaking to that point of like true love or not true love, and like in the moment, or in like the meta sense, in the spiritual sense, was it really true love if it didn't work out? I would say, in a multi-dimensional way, I would say yes and no. I would say to my character, my avatar, Victor, I would say it was true love. It was true love for him. It was true love in the moment. It was the possibility for that, if I could allow for myself to experience that. And so by maybe saying or trying to bypass, meaning that like, well, if it was meant to be, it would have been, right? How many times have you heard that? I think using that as an excuse doesn't serve, because then we're not facing the truth of the consequences of our actions. And once we sit with that truth and we feel what we need to feel in order to heal, that's when we can step back and realize and have faith that this person who came along and inspired us to experience what true love felt like, set us on a journey, on a path to ultimately find the person herself who would be our true love. Which brings up like twin flames, right? If you've ever heard of a twin flame, that's not your person. That's not your person. That's a reflection of you. That person represents all the parts of you that you haven't been willing to see. All the great things about them, that's all the great things about you. It's all a journey home, and home is right under your nose. It always has been. When you can sit in your body, be present in your body, especially be present in your heart, when you can see someone's woundedness, someone's lashing out, someone's being nasty, with an open heart, you understand that's the dynamic that they're used to engaging with and in with life itself, with the people in their lives. And so there's a great deal of patience, observation. Maybe there's some triggering. Maybe they're saying some things that are very much crossing the line. But in lashing out back at them, you're giving them the energy. You're giving them your energy. And abandoning yourself, abandoning your position, your center, and also engaging in that toxicity. So you're also taking on their toxicity. And it's a process. It is something to be patient with yourself with. I called someone a dickless waste the other day, in the midst of like being understanding and loving. They just hit on a sore spot. It was like racially motivated towards black people, and my nephews are half black, and they look full black. They call each other Puerto Ricans and Colombians to roast each other, but it's all out of love. And there are days when I'm very much concerned for them, because what if, with all this stuff, the cops and overstepping their bounds, it really puts me into that wounded rage, maybe even that sacred rage that inspires change for the better, thinking of anything happening to them. But it all comes back to our reactions. If you don't know yourself, or if you're struggling to get to know yourself, one of the best and kind of worst places to look is how you react to external circumstances and experiences. How do you react to getting triggered? Because that's revealing who you are currently and used to being. It shows us where we need to do the work, where we need to sit with the discomfort and choose that sacred silence. Instead of engaging with someone who's wounded, we engage with our wounds, with our woundedness, rather than taking on somebody else's hurt. And there is a time and there is a place for standing up for yourself, for creating and setting those boundaries. But if you're watching this video, I would invite you to examine a little deeper, sit with whatever comes up, and really ask yourself, does this serve? What does this serve? I hope you found this useful, helpful, insightful. Nothing but love, and wishing you peace and joy and understanding on your journey. Love you.